In 2009, Nike released this, the T90 Laser 3 in what was a Christmas/Ninja Turtles launch colorway, a little bit strange, but also really cool at the same time, and a football boot that I think goes down in history as the most extreme power boot concept execution of all time. 11 years later, in honor of what is arguably one of the most distinctive Nike football boots of all time, and following the same lineage, we now have the colorway back in the form of the Phantom Venom, as part of the Future Lab 2 pack. The name isn't exactly creative. So here it is in bright green. The official color on this boot is green strike. It has this really nice kind of shiny pearl effect to it in person, very accurate to the original T90 Laser, and then of course black details with a subtle red accent in the form of an outline around the swoosh that does relate it back to that OG T90. If you're looking for a flashy pair of Phantom Venoms, this is probably the most vibrant one so far. New colorway aside, this is just like all previous colorways of the Venom, so instead of talking about that again, I thought it would be fun and interesting to compare Nike's 2020 power boot offering, which I realize this isn't technically a power boot, but that's what we're calling it for this video, to Nike's 2009 power boot offering in the form of the T90 Laser 3. What are the differences? Which one is better? And is this still a viable option by today's standards? So with that said, we're gonna go over all the details, including how both of these fit, feel, and look on feet. So if you wanna learn more, please stick around, watch the entire review. And if you're interested in a pair of these new Venoms for yourself, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen, or you can click the first link down below. That's gonna take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $250 retail price. Now, before we compare these two boots, I just wanna show you what comes with the Venoms. Obviously, it is a top-end model, so it does come in the gray and black Nike box, but that also means it comes with a string bag, one that I think is really cool. It is obviously in the bright green color. It has the typical Phantom Venom graphics on there, which I think is the best design out of all the Nike string bags at the moment. I love the target on the front. It fits the T90 Laser inspiration of this color. And then obviously with the black and red detailing, I just think it looks really cool. Nothing on the back. This gets a string bag rating of 4,742 out of 4,904. Quick history lesson, because I feel like it's important in comparing these two boots. The Nike T90 or Total 90 series was created as a direct answer to what Adidas was doing with the Predator series, which was started in the mid-90s and was pretty much the only boot of its kind for a very long time, or at least it was far and away the leader in that particular category, which I think we look at football boots now and they all have a lot of technology in them, but back in the day, power boots were not only the most popular, but they were also the type of football boot that was pushing the boundaries of what was possible from a technology standpoint in football boots, period. Because up until that point, everything was pretty much just a leather upper with a sole plate and studs, not a lot of variation. Anyways, Adidas's approach with the Predator was a leather upper, a slightly bulkier design, then obviously these very large, prominent rubber striking elements for added grip and power and swerve and whatever marketing they were claiming at the time. Back in the day when Nike launched the T90 series, they didn't want to go and copy the Predator, but they wanted something to compete against the Predator in the same category, which is why the early Air Zoom T90s, basically 1, 2, 3, and 4 was called T90 Supremacy. They were all focused around an off-centered lacing system, a synthetic upper, even though leather options were available from time to time, where you had this very clean striking surface. It was a thinner material, a lighter construction, basically more modern kind of package than what the Predator had on offer, or at least that was Nike's approach. It wasn't until the Nike T90 Laser 1 when Nike seemed to realize that, hey, if we can't beat them, let's join them. And obviously the Laser 1 took on a very Predator-esque inspiration with the large striking element made out of rubber. We'd obviously get some progression in the T90 Laser series leading up to the very extreme design that was the T90 Laser 3. Laser 4 would follow that up with a similar design, but definitely one that was toned down a little bit. And then eventually the power boot in general, both T90 and Predator, would fall out of favor. Both brands would kill them off. Nike would replace it with the Hyper Venom. We'd see 3 generations of that, some definitely better than others. And then after Hyper Venom Phantom 3, it was killed off and followed up with the Phantom Venom, which I'm now holding here in my hands. So let me give you a quick breakdown of what you got with the T90 Laser 3. Obviously, the focus of this design and what makes it look so crazy is this huge rubberized striking element that's made up of a bunch of different pieces. So you have a base material of what is basically a webbed rubber. You can see that there are cutouts all the way through, allowing you to see the material underneath, which would typically be in a contrasting color to just make this that much more vibrant and stand out on the boots. Some people think this is totally ugly. I think this is really cool. If you look really closely along the edges, you'll find these little fins, which is pretty much the closest thing to what we have now with the demon skin spikes on the Adidas Predator 20 Plus and 20.1 variations. I would say it's maybe not quite as grippy as what we have now with the Preds, but it's kind of along those lines. The only downside with this is if someone stepped on these little fins, it was pretty common for them to basically just kind of fall off. It wouldn't necessarily affect the performance of the boot because there's rubber underneath it. It was just kind of taller pieces of rubber. And then you have these 5 pods, at least that's what Nike called them, which existed for the sake of giving you a perfect striking surface, at least according to Nike, giving you this really even distribution of pressure and really just a perfect strike on the ball. And I have to say, the experience of hitting a ball in this particular boot, having this nice big target right here because of the off-center lacing system, to me is what makes this boot so special. The striking element and the off-centered lacing system really being the only 2 elements that were consistent across the 4 different versions that we got of the T90 Laser 3. What I have here as an example is my personal favorite version of the boot, which is the kangaroo leather upper variation, which as you can see features some really soft leather. It had the same stitching pattern as the synthetic model, so that really doesn't make it look that much different, but all the way through the boot is made out of kangaroo leather, really high quality as well. And then even the rubber striking element, if you look along the edges and through the little holes, that area of the boot is actually made out of kangaroo leather as well. So you have a full leather upper, which made for a slightly softer and I think better fitting boot than what the regular synthetic model had. Not to say that the synthetic model was worse, but I don't think that the synthetic was up to today's standards in terms of overall quality. Also with the leather version, it swapped out a synthetic leather heel liner for a nice synthetic suede. Then in 2010, Nike would introduce the T90 Laser 3 Elite, which is obviously available in that famous 2010 World Cup colorway. What was unique about that boot is it featured a Tasian synthetic upper taken from the Nike Mercurial series, which was supposed to shave a little bit of weight off of what was kind of a bulky boot in the T90 Laser 3, and of course it introduced a carbon fiber sole plate and kind of a variation of the same stud pattern, again making for a lighter overall package, but it was significantly more expensive. But that Tasian synthetic model was only available in that World Cup colorway. After the fact, bringing us to the 4th variation of the T90 Laser 3, they released Elite versions with the carbon fiber sole plate, but then with just the regular synthetic upper, which again was really good. I found that the carbon fiber sole plate kind of changed the fit and shape and to a certain extent the feel of the boot as well. Yes, it was lighter, but for whatever reason, my personal favorite, having tried all of them, was the leather version. Moving to the rear of the boot, you have kind of a weird design element in the form of an internal plastic heel counter and kind of like a half external heel counter as well. Not exactly sure why that choice was made. This to me is kind of just unnecessary bulk if there's already an internal counter, but that's the way that they decided to do it. And then the sole plate, again, the Elite version carbon fiber, a little bit stiffer. I didn't think it worked as well with the design of this particular upper. This was a lot more flexible, obviously a little bit heavier as well, but the bladed stud pattern, super, super aggressive. And honestly, I just think fit the style of this boot extremely well. Fast forward 11 years, bulky power boots would definitely fall out of favor, and the power boot series as a whole would pretty much disappear across all brands. For a very long time, there were no power boots, and it wasn't until the Nike Phantom Venom, which I think it is a bit of a stretch to call this a power boot, but it brought back certain features that we hadn't seen from Nike since the T90 Laser series that ended in 2013 with the Laser 4. And of course, the distinctive aspect of this design and what makes it different from pretty much every other football boot out there right now is the inclusion of what looks to be a striking element. If we compare this to what we have on the T90 Laser 4, it's visually similar. The downside with this is that it's not actually made out of rubber. It's simply a texturing thing. And admittedly, it does feel really nice when you make contact with the ball. The idea with the raised fins here is, again, kind of like the T90 Laser 3 in its pods. They want to create a really clean striking surface, which is why the laces are pushed to the lateral side like we saw on pretty much all the T90 models. The only thing that I think separates this in terms of effectiveness versus some of these older T90 models and even the brand new Predator is the lack of added grip provided by this striking element. It's a great sensation, but there's really not much in the way of extra grip on the ball. So in place of actual rubber, in order to add grip on the ball, they added a ton of texturing to the surface of what is a Flyknit based upper, which makes this significantly thinner than any of the previous T90 models, whether it was the Air Zoom T90 or Laser. This is just a lot less bulky, to the point where this borderline has kind of a mercurial-esque feel with the addition of a little bit of extra material in the spot where you would strike the ball, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. As a reinforcement element, it does have fly wire cables working with the lacing system. It also incorporates a lace cover, and I will say I really like the way that they did the black Flyknit tongue and the black laces. I just think it looks quite cool, but the boot as a whole is much slimmer and much more speed boot inspired rather than power boot inspired, if we're comparing it to some of that old school stuff. And then of course, the incorporation of ACC technology, can't forget that. They wrote it in nice big letters there on the heel, so you can't miss it. Obviously a low cut design, and then moving to the sole plate, it features a stud pattern that I would say isn't too far off what we had with the T90 Laser 3. I'm actually gonna go as far as to say that this is actually a nice improvement in terms of being more well-rounded and maybe feeling a little bit more nimble when it comes to actually running around. Really aggressive traction, again, borderline mercurial-esque, and also really flexible. Sole plates as a whole, if you're comparing them to boots from over 10 years ago, the advancements in terms of material used, especially plastics, it's just gotten a lot better. They're able to make stronger materials, they're able to make materials that move more nicely with your feet, and also they're significantly lighter than what we had before. Speaking of which, is the T90 Laser 3 that much heavier than what we have now? Yes. Yes, it is. So I'm gonna weigh these two boots side by side. Keep in mind that these T90s are a size 9 US and these Venoms are a size 9.5 US, but I don't think that's gonna affect this too much. Also, this is the kangaroo leather version of the T90 Laser 3, which I think was probably the heaviest out of all 4 variations available. Just worth noting. Either way, we're gonna throw them on the scale and you can see that they weigh in at 11.1 ounces, the equivalent of 314 grams, which is roughly about 3 to 3.5 ounces or 100 grams heavier than most top-end football boots that we have today. I think by today's standards, a lot of people would consider this to be too heavy. I don't necessarily think that, but a lot of people don't like kind of heavier, bulkier football boots anymore. It's part of the reason why these went away. We'll throw on the Phantom Venom, and you can see that they weigh in at a significantly lighter 7.3 ounces, the equivalent of 206 grams. So they are over 100 grams lighter, which is a significant weight difference, and honestly, pretty much on par with most speed boots that you can buy now. While the base concept of these two boots, kind of designed around striking the ball, might be similar, the fit and feel on feet could not be more different. Realistically, the T90 Laser 3 does not feel anything like any boots that you can currently buy. It is more bulky, it is heavier, it's a little bit wider as well, but at the same time, I still really like the way that they feel. I think that this design has aged well from a fit perspective. I think for me, this is one of the better fitting T90 Laser models, period. As far as the Phantom Venom is concerned, it just feels more along the lines of what you expect from a football boot in 2020. Fits really close to the foot. It's super flexible. There's no extra bulk. They're significantly lighter feeling in comparison to these T90s. But again, they have very different characteristics in terms of overall ball feel. This is a lot more padded, and definitely the added grip and significance of the striking element is very noticeable. And honestly, I like that aspect of this boot, and you don't get that with the Phantom Venom. But again, if you want something more speed boot-esque in terms of performance characteristics, there's no doubt that the Venom is overall a better product. As far as width is concerned, you can just see by the shape, the T90 Laser 3 has more of a rounded, kind of boxier fit to it, which a lot of people really liked about the T90 and are kind of disappointed that Nike offers nothing like that anymore. Not to say that the Phantom Venom is narrow, but it definitely fits a lot tighter versus what we used to get from the T90 series. And then as far as sizing is concerned, these ones are a 9 US. I could definitely do with a 9.5 at this point, but they still fit okay. Both of these boots do fit true to size. So if for some reason you did want to go out and buy a T90 Laser 3 on eBay or something like that, I would definitely recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. Same goes for the Venom. So which one of these would I choose to wear? And feel free to leave your own answer to this question down below in the comments. If you ask me what is objectively the best football boot out of these two, it's by a long shot the Nike Phantom Venom. It is lighter, it is more responsive, it offers arguably more aggressive traction. I think it fits better overall. It is better in pretty much every measurable performance category. That doesn't necessarily mean that they would make you play better, but I think overall, objectively, it's a better pair of football boots. With that said, if you gave me the choice to wear both of these right now, I would pick the T90 Laser 3. Again, slight bias because it is one of my all-time personal favorite football boots, but I really feel like the experience of striking the ball in this particular boot is fantastic, and it kind of has that same magic that a lot of older Adidas Predator models have for me and a lot of people. Maybe this is just nostalgia talking, and honestly, I think if you gave a lot of the younger generation the opportunity to try both of these boots, by far most of them would probably pick this because again, this is kind of bulky and heavy by today's standards, but for me, I just love the extreme concept of not just the Laser 3, but all of the T90 Laser models, and I hope that whatever replaces the current Phantom Venom kind of brings back some of that more extreme design concept kind of thought process behind power boots that we used to see in this particular line, because we just saw Adidas do something really crazy with their demon skin spikes on the Predator. That has been extremely well received, so I'm hoping that just like they did back in the day, Nike's answer to what Adidas does with the Predator line is going to be just as extreme. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. That helps me out tremendously. If you are interested in what I would argue is the coolest colorway of the Phantom Venom so far, again, first link down below. That's going to take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes to pick these up below their normal $250 retail price. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave that down below. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.